Okay, it's
There we go.
Okay,
We got it.
okay, it is June 27th. This is the meeting of the Sewer Commission on June 27th. It is 6:04. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I forgot to ask, Bill, Dave, do you have a flag you can hold up? Okay, Dave, since you've got the flag, you want to start us out with the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to
To the flag
the United
of the
United
States
States of America,
of America and
to
to
the republic
For which it stands,
stands
one
One
nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
justice for all. Okay. I'm John Reynolds, Chairman of the Sewer Commission. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting of the Sewer Commission is being recorded and will be able to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. Excuse me. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the link to join the public meeting webinar found on the posted agenda, or from a telephone, dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter the webinar number 8205-953-7604. If you have not registered with Zoom, you will be asked for your name and an email address. No participant ID is needed. Just press pound when asked. Going to do a roll call vote to make sure who's here. As I call your name, please answer in the affirmative. Brett Ramsden,
Here,
Dave McDonald,
here.
Mike Nault,
Here,
I for myself, and Michael Makerman's here, someone who's interested in joining the Sewer Commission and would be if I had directed Paula to submit the agenda for the joint meeting of the selectmen. But anyway, Mike is here and hopefully he'll be officially on the team as soon as possible. Staff, when I call your name, please answer in the affirmative. Bill Bernard. Here. Paula Bertram.
here.
And Jane is not with us tonight, correct?
She's not able to attend, right?
Okay.
Mr. Chair, how is Jane's husband doing? Do we know?
I can't answer that question. I don't know. Paula, do you know?
She let me know that he is improving, but it's very difficult.
Yes, sounds
But
like-
he was in Worcester today, so that's why she's not able to attend.
Okay.
Can you pass her along our prayers, and if she needs anything to let us know?
I will.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any public comment from the public? I don't think we have any public here. Any public comment from the Sewer Commission?
Two things, Mr. Chair, if I could. Mike Mackin, thank you for joining us. I know it's just a matter of paperwork, but we're all looking forward to having you dig in with us, literally dig in. Again, thank you for taking your time and going back and helping the town. And Mr. Chair, I just want to make a comment on how good of a job you did last week at the Board of Selectmen meeting. And thank you for doing such a great presentation.
Thank you. I had confidence with you sitting in the audience there, Dave.
You know, just, I don't know if you ever noticed, I was watching it and I was sitting,
Your legs move a lot.
did you see that? Yeah, boy, I was like, my legs were like that. It was kind of funny. I won't do that again, but
You just have to sit. You just have to sit somewhere else.
yeah, I know. I didn't know I did that. That's funny.
Okay. Any other public comment from the commission?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to mention to Bill that I was very impressed with his pothole repairs, the way they approach them on Multus Road with that grinding machine. It's very, it's nice to see such an idea put to work. Those potholes are patched and smooth and likely to stay long term. So I just wanted to commend Bill on his action there and his approach.
Thank you, Brett.
I'll have to take
Thank
a
you.
drive over there.
Just say, now I get to take a ride down Memphis.
And now I gotta speed down there, see what you're doing.
Now you'll be expected to do that all over town now, of course.
Well, actually,
We
given
have,
that I live on Lancaster Ave, I prefer there to be potholes to slow people down. Maybe a few speed bumps would be nice too. Okay. Any announcements from anyone? No? Okay. I guess I probably should make a small announcement. This is probably the best way to make it. I think all the commissioners did get an email late in the day from Paula about an incident today where there was some sewage backup in a residence on Mass Ave, close to the center of town. The problem has resolved. The backup has been cleared up, but we still are just beginning to try to understand what happened, and don't really have a lot to offer at this particular point. I just wanted to make sure all the sewer commissioners were aware, because I know any one of you could end up with a phone call. So unless anyone has anything else to say about that, Paula, I mean, you too, if you want to offer anything.
Just to expand a little bit, we got a call about a backup. We were unable to contact Clean Basins. Well, we contacted them, but they would not be able to be here until later in the day. We finally did get RM Rata to come out. They pumped the manhole. The sewage was up to the top of the manhole. They pumped the manhole and then proceeded down Mass Ave from basically the center of town down to the pump station. Clean suction to the manholes and clean the line. And as John said, we're in the process of trying to determine exactly what happened and what caused it.
I understand there was grease more than anything in there.
That's correct. There was a significant grease blockage.
Yep, grease was definitely a contributing factor.
That only gives a small handful of options of where it came from, would it not?
Correct.
Is anybody looking into this or trying to investigate it? Bill, what steps are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, Paula and I went to the establishment that has a grease trap. We talked to them. We're asking for additional information, and I think we'll get it pretty quick. But I just think it's a little more complicated than just grease. But
No, I mean, what's the investigation entail?
So we're waiting for the reports. Apparently there was a history of a problem in this area between two establishments, and it was on their property, which is something we don't typically get involved in. There's a junction on the property where several pipes come into. So I want to investigate exactly what occurred at that area. Apparently the property owner had someone come out and service those lines to try to determine why they were having a backup. But again, as John said, we're trying to get additional information about exactly what occurred, when it occurred, what pumping has been done, and exactly what occurred on the site. And we also at some point want to pop the covers to those manholes that are on the properties and see if we can see what's causing the issue.
So how far was the backup?
From in front of 926 Mass Ave to the pump station.
Head towards Fitchburg?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Bill, do you have anything to add?
I don't this time, no.
Thank you, guys.
okay, so I think at this point, everyone at this meeting pretty much knows everything that Paula and I and Bill know at this point in time, and as soon as we get more information, we'll disseminate it. Okay. Any other announcements? All right, seeing none. Let's move on to current business. Did everyone have a chance to read the minutes for 6:13?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay, so let's see, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Mike Knoll, you're on the left side of my screen. You want to make a motion here?
sure. I'll make a motion to accept minutes from 6:13.
Brett, you're next. You want to second that?
I would be happy to second that motion to approve the minutes from
Okay,
6:13.
any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. Mike Knoll,
Yes,
Brett,
Aye.
Dave McDonald,
yeah,
and I for myself, and Mike Macomb, I bet you'd be saying aye too if you were an official member. So,
Well, the fact that it
And now-
started at 7 and it started at 6 and ended at 7, I would definitely say aye.
okay. All right, so the minutes from 6:13 are accepted. All right, the next item is ARPA funding. Paula, do you want to just kind of give a little summary as to where we are with the additional?
So I sent out, and I apologize for the late time that you received it, but it was a little bit crazy in the office today.
I can definitely attest to that because I went over to talk to Paula about this, and I think I got home 4 or 5 hours later.
So I did put together, based on John's presentation to the selectmen, they had requested a modified ARPA request. And so I did put together a document for you guys to review. I made a couple of adjustments suggested by John, which is what I sent out. Unfortunately, I'm at a disadvantage because my computer is still not working. But hopefully you've all had a chance to review that. Basically, I put together the information that John had indicated at the selectmen's meeting to try to get them to understand the impacts of COVID on the sewer system, as well as the challenges we're facing right now because of new regulations, financial constraints, et cetera. So hopefully you've had an opportunity to review it. And John, if there are modifications, I can write them down, but unfortunately, I am not going to be able to share my screen, do them live.
Okay. Well, maybe, has anyone had a chance to read what Paula sent out either later today or earlier today? If not, this would be my suggestion, and I don't know if we can do it this way. I really would like everyone to have some input to Paul, give Paula some input on this. And then if you would be willing to let Paula and I look at your input and compose the final letter to forward to the selectmen. Would that be that would be you trusting that Paul and I could take your input and put it in the way you want it and forward it on to the selectmen. So just, be honest and give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, I did have a chance to look at it quickly, and I mean, I thought it was well done. I thought it's pretty straightforward. I like the chart. One of the two that we picked, but it's I like it. So that's my opinion.
Okay, Brett?
Actually, I did have a chance to look at it. Not word for word, but I reviewed it and looking at it again right now. I think it looks fantastic the way it is. Nothing's jumping out at me, but I will read it more carefully
Okay,
after the meeting.
okay, Dave?
yeah, I mean, I agree with Brett. It looks good. I am just looking to make sure. And again, I'll get back to you. I know we got the revenue screen. I think we ought to talk about a little bit more about the testing for NIFTs or the COVID aftermath, what it could potentially cost us between Fitchburg and Leominster? Do we have any numbers at all?
No, we don't. The numbers that I included in the document are from Wright Pierce.
Yeah.
And they looked at the potential cost to Leominster because we're only a co-permittee on the Leominster permit, not on the Fitchburg permit. But they did provide some costs on what they thought that would be. And then the cost that if the floodplain monitoring and the additional monitoring of contaminants goes through, those costs are articulated in the document.
So the other question I would have is, are we going to attach a engineer's report with this or engineer's recommendation?
Paula, correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't actually have an engineering report. This is more a professional opinion.
I think that's what I meant, John, not a report, but
Yeah, we don't have anything that, quite frankly, is official enough to send and to include. We have some email communications between us and Wright Pierce, and that's the data that we included.
Right, and I would not want to put Wright Pierce in the position of attaching an email, which is their professional opinion versus a study that was actually done that was, paid for. I mean,
then let me reverse it. Do they know of any towns and cities that are going through this now that we can add on, saying that this is a prospective problem in X, Y, and Z towns?
I think this is so new that the answer to that is no, Paula. You've talked to them more than I have.
Right. They are in the process of working with towns and providing comments on draft NIPD's permits because a lot of the communities are in the same situation that we are in. And so the short answer is no. They did indicate that they're working with some towns on updating O&M plans and updating GIS systems and that, but the costs that they gave us are the costs that they are estimating for us.
I guess what I'm trying to angle here is that we know that water department, for example, the PFAS for water is going to be governed by the state by the end of the year. There will be access to grants and monies for that. Right now, I don't see anything available for the sewer departments throughout the state to go after. Do you guys?
No, I don't. And so the whole PFAS, nitrogen, phosphorus is a much greater unknown than the floodplain issue. The floodplain issue alone could be, Wright Pierce's best estimate without doing a detailed analysis is between $200,000 and $300,000 if it goes through. The whole PFAS thing is, I think, new enough that who knows? And at some point, maybe state money would become available. But right now, as of now, my understanding, anything that would happen is an unfunded mandate. But there's really no way of attaching it all. If it's just testing for PFAS, that's one issue. If it's having to Leominster having to, and Fitchburg having to come up with a process to remove PFAS, we know that's going to be a very expensive proposition.
But as of now, that would be coming out of our sewer budget. not from the state.
Absolutely.
Where-
Correct.
Right, so that's what we're gearing up for. Maybe 2 years from now they could, but I think that's what I was asking, if the engineers know anything about that. So if Wright Pierce has documentation that water will be getting, grants will be available once the state is gonna know what they're gonna do with PFAS. Can't access that bank yet because it's not set up. I guess is what I'm trying to say, is that kind of,
Right. Well, I think not only can't we access it, not even sure it exists for sewage treatment.
well, I don't think people understand that the sewer during COVID, our sewers were tested, the water was tested for COVID. And that's how the states regulated the levels of COVID per town by going through the sewer.
Right, but the issue, I think the big issue would be just testing is one thing, but again, if water treatment plants have to remove PFAS, which I can't even begin to estimate the cost, and Wright Pierce has not had any experience with that yet. So,
Right, and that's why it's even more important that we try to get that message across to the selectmen, that
Right.
the pump stations are very important, not just because of the operation, but for everything else as well.
right,
It's
so
It's the heartbeat of our system is the pump
right,
station.
you just went from PFAS to pump stations. Pump stations, we know there's been a 50% increase in flow to Fitchburg and each of the past 2 years. That's significant. As I mentioned at the select board meeting, we all drive cars. If you drive 50% more, drive your car 50% more, you're going to incur huge costs. So we do have some numbers related to the increase in flow. We do have some numbers related to if we have to do an analysis and come up with a plan for, the floodplain issue. I think the whole PFAS thing in the sewer world is still a big unknown at this point.
So, Mr. Chairman, I was able to finally get my computer to start. I don't know if you want me to share it with the numbers that are in the document, or if you would prefer just to wait and have people review it individually.
I'm open, but I would prefer people just look at it individually, send
Okay,
the information to you, and then if everyone was in agreement, we can just sort of sit down and edit the final document and send that off. But I have to defer to the rest of the commissioners there.
What's the deadline? What's the drop dead deadline for getting back to you?
well, it's on the agenda for the next selectmen's meeting, which is the 11th.
Right.
So I would like it back early
I-
next week.
I was going to say it'd be nice to get it back this week, but
Yeah, I mean, I could do it before, I could do it tomorrow, actually, just.
Okay.
I just want to read it on the big screen.
yeah, as we learned today, things happen, and the sooner we can get comments back to Paula, the better.
And Mr. Chair, just for the sake, Mike Mackin, did you get a copy of all this too?
I have not.
Can we send Mike a copy?
No, I got the copy of the proposal. The proposal.
The topic, yeah, the agenda.
No, but the ARPA proposal.
Yeah, yes, that's what it's called, yeah, okay. I mean, if you want to look at it too, I mean, you got.
No, I have looked at it.
Okay. And Mr. Chair, I would recommend that if Mike has any questions on it, submit them as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyone in the public can submit anything they want to add to it. Okay. Any further discussion about ARPA? No? Okay. Paula, why don't you take the FY23 encumbrances? Paula, you're muted.
That's not helpful. I had sent out a proposed encumbrance. And it's just over $50,000. And this is to, we've ordered the cranes, but they will not be until September. So we need to encumber those funds. Martinez Road Construction is the company that did the manhole repairs. We were able to repair approximately 16 manholes on Mass Ave, and we don't have that bill yet. It's estimated to be just under $10,000. Clean Basins is going to be out. They were supposed to be out last week, but their truck is down, so hopefully they'll be out soon. And the estimated cost for the line jetting is $99,800. I did reach out to Wright Pierce, and we do have a proposal for them, which you guys accepted, for a evaluation of the cost, the process of redirecting flow. So that cost is $9,100. I did order some additional manhole covers. They are not in yet, because we know we're going to be doing additional manhole work. And that's a cost of $3,624. I've estimated bills for telephone and utilities over the next month. Waste disposal, this is for the work that we just did. Martinez took the waste to PJ Keating, so we need to pay for that disposal, and we also need to pay for the asphalt that was purchased from PJ Keating, so that cost is $1,195. Today, with the emergency jetting that was done, I put in an estimate of $2,800. Hopefully that will cover it, but I don't have a cost on that. And I'm also looking to encumber additional funds for police details. We did have to have a detail today, and that was an unanticipated expense. So I'm looking to encumber additional funding for police details. So I will need signatures on the encumbrance form. So I do need a vote, and I will need signatures. Unfortunately, this budget right now is very fluid because a lot of things have come up in the last couple of days. But right now, this is my proposal. I did review it with Bill, and I don't think that he had any additional comments. I do have it if anybody's interested in seeing the actual form, but I believe I sent it out to everybody.
Mr. Chair, if I could, Paula, do we have money in our maintenance budget for this? This where it's coming from?
It's coming from various line items. Actually, if you look at the right-hand side where it says Oregon object, they're all coming from different line items. So for example, the utility for June will come out of the utility line item, but the jetting and the cranes, et cetera. So cranes will come out of capital. The
Yeah.
line jetting will come out of purchase of service. Wright Pierce will come out of engineering, et cetera.
I guess what I'm saying is we have this covered within the budget anyways, right?
Right. So, but in order to encumber the funding,
Yeah.
I need a vote from the commission, and that this funding from this year's budget will carry over into next year.
Yeah.
And the total is $51,592.50.
Mr. Chair, for discussion only, I like to make a motion to accept the incumbency of $51,592.50.
Okay, do I have a
52.
second on that?
52 cents.
52 cents. Thank you, Mike, for that correction.
Is it 52?
No, it's
Five.
it's $51,592.50.
50, I heard 52, okay. I
Dave,
stand
do you-
corrected. I will
All right,
second that motion. just-
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. My screen has shifted here, so Brett,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye,
and I for myself. The motion is accepted. Okay. Any action items for any future meetings? I'm gonna step in here and it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in the next few days with the discovery of what occurred with his backup. And that may or may not require us to review some of our, grease trap regulations. So, depending on what happens, I would expect that might be on the upcoming agenda. But anyone else?
Mr. Chair, I hope, Paula, you look at all the records of the grease traps from the surrounding areas in that area. Pull all the records if you could. And let's see what the history is as far as cleaning out the grease traps in that area.
Yeah, John and I actually started doing that, and I have been logging, and we have received all the handwritten reports, but apparently There has been some line jetting that has been done by other vendors that I wasn't aware of. We don't receive reports on that, so I've requested copies of all of that information from the establishments.
Well, I think what I'm saying is that if we're finding out that's something is seriously wrong in that area, we have to take action. And these people have to be made aware that we're gonna be monitoring this now. We're not gonna let this happen again. If I think it's what it is, it's not good, is what I'm trying to say.
Right, Dave, I think Paula, I don't want to speak for Paula, but I think we're probably both in total agreement. This might be an issue of the separating point. You know, did this happen on, was the issue on private property? It's more than just grease traps, or it's just a little more complicated, and I don't know enough about it to expand on that. But yeah, we need to make sure this doesn't happen again. And so there's a few things, but definitely we should review our grease trap policy once again. So
Yeah,
I
and
don't-
we are investigating all of the options. As I said, John and I went, as John said, we went to the establishment today. We've talked with the manager, we talked with the owner. But apparently there are other issues on other properties that have been dealt with in the past that we weren't aware of. And so we have to do some further investigation into those issues. So we are investigating, we are taking it very seriously so that this does not occur again.
No, and I just want to thank you and John and Bill for your quick action on this. I did notice something on Facebook, but I thought it was a septic system. But maybe, and a good question I have is that what if something happens on the weekend? Who do they call? How is that handled? This is a good, we got to go through these scenarios for emergency.
that's a good point. You know, I've thought about that a lot today, you know, backup to the backup to the backup,
Yeah, yes,
that kind of thing. We were very fortunate that one of the DPW employees was a former employee of the company that ended up coming out to do the jetting. You know, he was able to get through the phone menu red tape and was very helpful. So,
Extremely helpful. The DPW guys, I want to give a shout out to them, to Jack Welch and Jim Stickler. They did an amazing job today.
absolutely.
you know, pass along our congrats to them too from the commission, thanking them.
Mhm.
We're very happy with that, and all you guys. But I think, you know, when you learn from something is where we sit back and examine it, how can we make it better in the future? Especially for the homeowner, if they have a problem, we could
Right.
call, that's all.
Yeah,
Right,
agreed.
right.
I thank you guys, for your actions today.
Okay, any other action items?
Bill
Go
has
ahead.
something to say.
Bill,
Yep.
go ahead.
So to Dave's question about who the homeowner could have called. I did speak with the homeowner. I told her the same thing. The DPW, we don't have a 24/7 line, but the police do. And we do have personnel that have 24/7 coverage. So if this happens to anybody else in town, just call the police, ask them to call the DPW, and we will respond.
Right. Good point, Bill. I'm sure if I wasn't on the sewer commission, I would have either called the police or the fire department first. And
Mhm.
hopefully if someone called the fire department, they would also know to call the DPW. So, okay, great. Thank you. Any other action items for future meetings?
You know, do we have an answering service at the DPW on the weekends?
We don't, no. That's why they need to call the police, and the police will call whoever's on call for the DPW.
Can we leave on our message machine that if you have a plumbing or a sewer problem, please call 911
It's not 911, it's the general number.
or the general number,
Mhm.
or contact the fire department, just so that if I call, you know, if I hear Sam's voice saying we're not here, but if this is an emergency,
We
gee,
can
Dave.
certainly look into that.
Dave, you just gave out Sam's name. Come on.
well, it's better than Charlie. Jeez.
I don't know, should I tell everyone what Sam's home phone number is or what?
No, no, her name, her voice is on the answering.
Yeah, I know, Dave, I know, I'm giving you a hard time.
Okay. Funny guy.
All right, any other action items?
I'd just like to say that the next meeting coming up is July 11th. I cannot make that meeting. I will be on vacation, so.
This is what Zoom is all about, Mike.
Not when I'm on vacation, it's not.
Okay. All right, any other action items? No, okay. Business managers report. Paula, you've got the floor.
Okay, so system maintenance, we just talked about the issue that we had today. We have recently replaced 3 pumps at various stations, one at Meadowwoods, one at Francis, and one at Mass Ave. We had 2 in stock that Al was able to utilize, and we had to purchase another. The cranes are on order. We're also in the process of implementing some Bill, I don't know how to say this, but guards on the panels to protect from any possible shock. So those are being fabricated. We are looking at some upgrades. Al is in the process of still looking through that and seeing what other upgrades should be made. System maintenance, we have been Al had been updating the reports. Unfortunately, I still don't have the final reports for extending beyond when we had them updated last time. So I will be pinging him about that. That's really it on the system maintenance and upgrades. The fiscal 23 budget status, I sent out where I believe we are right now. It's very difficult to predict. I don't know if you guys are aware, but the finance department is very understaffed. The accountant's assistant finance director's assistant has been gone for 5 months. So the accountant is trying to do many roles. So predicting what our revenue is right now is very difficult. But as of right now, I did send out where we are. As of today, we have 945,366.77 in user charges. That should be much higher. We had predicted 1.1 million. So obviously I'm concerned about that number, but we really won't know where it is until the receipts for May and June are posted. So right now I am conservatively estimating that we will have 975,000 in user charges. And again, that's a conservative estimate. So our overall revenues are down. But if you take a look at all of the expenses, you'll see where I'm proposing to transfer money from various line items and encumber funding. But bottom line is we are ending the year on a positive. We will not have as much to put into retained earnings as we haven't had in prior years, and mainly because we had the personnel shift, which cost us some money, as well as the number of upgrades that we're doing. Right now, again, a conservative estimate is that we will have a surplus of just over $20,000. But if our revenues are higher, that will go up.
So if the user fees go up by 126,000,
That would
directly affect that number.
exactly. So because we're at the year end, the fiscal year end is June 30th. So that's why I'm trying to figure out exactly where we are and why I'm proposing to encumber as much money as we can. These are services that we want to do or that we have contracted and don't have bills for. I do think that we want to look at potentially I want to go back to that, to upgrades. I do think we want to potentially look at doing some more bids. And the reason for that is I think we want to potentially spend more than $10,000 on jetting, potentially more on manholes, I. So over the next few months, Bill and I will be talking about that and looking at that. And seeing where we can shift funds, because we're limited right now. If we contract, it has to be under $10,000. Otherwise, you have to do 3 bids. And then if it's over 50,000, then we have to go out for bid. So Bill and I will be evaluating that. I want to go back to the system maintenance for a second. The bid, we received 1 bid, and that was from Chad Empey. And it was significantly over what we had anticipated to spend. So Bill and I, Bill namely, has worked on adjusting the proposed hours in the proposal to try to bring that cost down, but we will have to rebid. And Bill is in the process of working with CTE to extend the contract for a couple of months. And Bill, if you want to just add on to that.
Yep, so I talked to CTE, they are willing to extend the contract for 2 months, the existing contract. It's just a matter of Town Hall coming up with a form for them to sign, and it's good to go. And like Paula said, we'll revise the IFB. Specifically, we got to reduce the preliminary quantities so that we come in under budget. So we gave ourselves 2 months. Hopefully it's only a 1-month process, but yeah, we built in a little time, so it should work.
Okay,
Thank you,
I don't know if we can discuss this at this point in time. But
I believe we can, because it's under system maintenance and upgrades, and maintenance is operation and maintenance.
so one of the things we discussed several meetings ago was to combine the generator contract with the pump station maintenance, and we chose obviously to combine them. I was kind of on the fence at the time, and I guess at the time I thought, whatever Bill thought he wanted to do was fine, but my understanding is that Julie thought perhaps that, well, she got in, Polly, you can jump in any time here, that she got inquiries as to whether the 2 could be separated. And she thought maybe we might have gotten more bids, more interest if the pump station and the generators had been separated. So is that something maybe we should consider at this point in time, if we're going to do a new IFB? I'm hearing dead air here, so. Let's see, I'm gonna go from left to right here. Mike, Brett, Dave, any thoughts? Bill?
Are you saying that maybe there was some confusion and they bid on the generators as well as the maintenance plan together?
I don't think it was confusion, but there might have been people who perhaps were interested in the generator would have been interested in the generator contract without the pump stations, and maybe there might have been some people interested in the pump stations without the generator contract. I didn't personally speak to Julie. I know, Paula, maybe, or Bill, maybe you know a little more than I do. But if it could bring in more interest by separating them, I just think it's something we should talk about.
So, Mr. Chair, there was a company that specifically does generator work that asked if he could bid just the generator part. And
Okay.
obviously we told them, no, they can't, it's a combined, it's one contract.
Okay, so it was more about just the generator bid versus someone interested in the pump stations that wasn't interested in the generators. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Or the opposite.
if I could, the reason why I voted to go separately is for that reason. If you start clumping everything together, there's no way to control the cost. So for example, if Mike Null opens up a sewer cleaning company, he gives you a price. If he does the maintenance of the generators, then he's gonna hire that company and then mark that up, which increases the bottom line. The more subs you can get involved into an operation, it may be a little bit more controlled as far as a little bit more work with Bill making a phone call or Paula, but you reduce the cost of the actual job because you're cutting out the middleman. So when you look at Empre, he may even look at it as more of a pain in the butt. So he's gonna muck up even more money because he doesn't have, now he's gonna worry about that. So I would recommend again, as we did the first time, don't combine them, keep them separate. But that's my opinion.
Okay, I'm gonna definitely need some input here, so I'm gonna put everyone on the spot. Mike Knoll,
I'm okay with separating them. We did that way back for that reason. You're getting people bidding that specialize in what they're bidding for, where the other way around, you're getting them bidding, but they're have to hook up, like Dave says, they're gonna make money on the other company, so
right,
I'm okay with it.
okay, Brett,
Seems to me that it depends on strongly on the people that are bidding on the bids, how it affects things. So I don't know if it, a company that is capable of handling all of the maintenance that is required for the system, which is obviously incredibly extensive. Generator maintenance is not a big deal after that, from my point of view. I mean, it's changing oil, it's certainly testing it, basically making sure they're on top of the maintenance and keeping a close track of when they're maintenance and how they're maintenance and exactly what was changed. But compared to servicing the rest of the sewer system, it's baby what am I trying to say, like almost like child's play compared to the sewer system itself. So I don't know if there's just people who prefer to do generator service that are thinking about taking on the rest of the maintenance to be able to just make it a bigger, broad area, and are they actually capable of that? Or what the issue is. It just seems to me that it's not that big a deal on top of the rest of the maintenance that's to be done. I can see the argument that it might be easier to track to a certain degree to have a separate company come in and take care of that, but then you're also talking about somebody that has to charge enough to make it worth their while to make a special trip to do the maintenance and testing on them, which I wonder, is that more expensive by bringing separate companies in? But again, it depends on the companies we're talking about. So, I could see the argument either way, but keeping it together, I don't think is a problem either. I'm just trying to think it through openly.
right, so if I understand what you're saying, Brett, if someone really wants this maintenance contract for the pump stations, it shouldn't be too hard for them to subcontract out to a generator maintenance company. Am I getting that right?
Well, no, what I'm saying is, why wouldn't they just do it themselves? Why would they have to sub out a company? Unless their staffing is restricted enough that they can't do that. If they're subcontracting somebody else, or if that's gonna be what happens anyway, then separating the two out might be the right way to go anyway. Because then if our maintenance companies are all gonna subcontract another company to take care of our generators, they're likely gonna have to tack on something on top of the cost of the generator company. You see what I'm saying? To make it worth their while and have to meet with them to make it happen if they have to. Whereas just a generator company would be that cost alone. So if
Right.
that's what's expected, then we might want to separate it out. On the other hand, if a company can handle the maintenance themselves, it would actually be more affordable. That's what I'm saying. That those are the two sides of it I'm looking at.
Dave, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Brett's formula, what he's saying, and I think that if we separate them out and have two I'm calling them RFP, but they're not, but you have two definitions.
ISBs, yeah.
ISB, for example, our vendor now, he can do the exact same thing, just give us a separate number for the contract. I mean, you can get that tomorrow. All you gotta do is call Emprey and say, what is your cost within that budget for generators? You know, is it broken out that way or is it just one number? I don't know. But the more I found in my business, the more that I sub out everything, the bottom line is they save it for the customer at the end of the day. That's just from my experience. I mean, even with Emprey, you can even break that down a little bit. And he can just worry about the pumps and you can sub out another part of the job if you had to. But we're trying to keep everything simple, but it was set up as a two separate projects because there are specialty people who handle generators, and Bill, I think that might be the guy who's talking to you. And there are companies that don't know anything about the generators, but know about the pumps. And they sub out the generators, which I think Chad does, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not sure. But either way is fine with me.
So I think I'm hearing either way from Dave. Mike Knowles, I think I'm kind of hearing either way. It's okay from you?
Okay with me.
I'm saying that we should go with the two contracts, but if we get outvoted, it is what it is.
I think Bill should have an opportunity to talk a little bit more.
Absolutely.
No,
Thanks, Dave. All right, so in the one bid we received, we had it, the generator, there was a separate line item for the generator, so I just did a little quick math. The work on the generators was 11% of the overall contract, so I think Brett was kind of hitting on it. It's a small piece. So even if they are marking it up a little bit, it's still a small piece of the contract. I'm still in favor of keeping it together. I don't like the idea of two different contractors basically working on the same system. You know, there is a problem. It's quickly becomes, well, he did it. No, he did it. And it gets ugly quick. Yeah, Dave is right. Sometimes if you sub it out, you might get better prices, but I think it's an old system. It's a sensitive system. I don't think we want too many people touching our equipment. You know, I'd prefer to have one contractor. You know, he'll be there when they do the maintenance, the generator maintenance. He'll oversee it. I think it'll just go smoother and better for us in the long run.
A lot of logic there.
I'm sorry, go ahead. What'd you say,
I was
Brett?
saying there's a lot of logic there.
All right, and as before, I'm on the fence with this. But I guess I'm inclined to refer to Bill again on this. So I don't think we need to take a vote on this. I mean, we just need to reissue the IFB. So unless anyone tells me that we need to take a vote on this, I think we would just continue with the IFB as the two, the generators and the pump stations as one. So I don't think we need to take a vote on this.
We don't, and Bill has already looked at modifying the IFB to reduce those quantities, so we're really ready to go, right, Bill?
Yep, we are.
So
I think-
we'll
I
just
think,
have.
I think we need to launch here. So,
Mhm.
well, Mr. Chair, I do have a couple of questions. Can you send us a copy of that RFP before it goes out? Can we see it?
You guys have seen, oh, you mean the revised quantities? Is that what you're asking? Because you
Yeah.
saw the original. It's basically just a reduction in some of the quantities of hours.
Yeah, I'd just like to see what's going on. And the other thing is, can we get more of a breakdown on the RFP? In other words, is that one price or can we break down those prices?
No, it's very clearly broken down in the IFB. There's a cost sheet and the bidder has to break down exactly the amount of the cost for each associated item. Bill did a great job of breaking down everything.
So that's good to know. So you already know what Empre's charging us for generators, correct?
Right.
And what their proposal was on the new one. We have a breakdown. Do you know where they went up on their new contract? Or new proposal?
Bill, that's a you question.
That's a you bill.
Yeah. Basically, the monthly charge went up, which we would expect, expenses go up, and their hourly charge, when they do repairs, that went up just a tiny bit, which you'd expect. I think the generators is just about the same, maybe up just a tiny bit. Overall, the unit prices they provided, I thought were pretty good.
So it's not a substantial increase, or what kind of an increase is it from their last contract?
The issue, we believe, and Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, is the quantities of hours that we asked them to provide. And that is what raised the overall cost, because so what we've done is reduce the amount of hours to bring the cost more in line with what the service that we currently receive.
So let me, I'm getting more confused. So the hours that we had on this year's contract, are we increasing their hours on the next contract, or are we gonna keep them the same?
It's a different kind of bid because the other bid was an RFP.
No. I'm saying in reality, forget the bidding process. If we're gonna use 40 hours a week on a contract, I'm using it as a number. What's the new proposal asking for? More than 40 hours a week?
Bill, you have the breakdown. I don't.
There's an
Yeah.
increase coming from somewhere, and is it a real increase, or is it a increase that if we use more hours, it's gonna be this?
Right, so the bid that went out, I just overestimated the hours.
Okay, that's what I need to know. So send us a copy of it. But if we use 100 hours on an average, or 40 hours a week average last year, and the number was X amount of money, and the new price came back at substantially higher, and Paul, I think I'm using that word correctly, why? And if the line item for the generator is virtually the same, and I expect an increase on labor, and I expect an increase on other things, but
The price per hour is comparable with the last bid. As Bill said, it went up slightly. We
Oh,
just asked for many more hours than we have used.
okay, that makes me feel a lot better. So,
Mhm.
okay, thank you, guys.
All right, so where are we at? Dave, are you saying you need to see some additional information before this goes out again? Or are you comfortable with?
I'm comfortable sending it out, but I like to review what is going on, that's all.
Okay,
That's my living, I do contract negotiations,
right, okay,
and I never seen this, and then again, we went and saw the attorney, so I never saw IFBU, whatever we're using here, this is all new to me, so. But I understand what Bill's doing, and I probably would have done the same thing. But you have to be realistic too, what do we usually use, and you have money away for emergencies, and that way there, Paula will have a better way to budget for next year.
right.
I just want to say one thing on that. The budget's already set for next year.
Yeah.
And so it'll be the following year that I'll actually do the budget.
Well, you know what I'm saying, it's easy to budget things like, and we can also look at our capital expenditures and see what we can do to increase those budgets too.
Yeah.
All right, so Paula, we'll take full blame for anything this year and next year.
Did you notice that? disclaimer?
We'll focus on you. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Okay.
All right. We're still under business manager report. So Paula, you're,
The only thing that I wanted to let you guys know is I will be on vacation for the July 25th meeting and the August 8th meeting. I will zoom in on the July 25th meeting, but I will not be able to the August 8th. And so just giving you a heads up on that. As we get closer, I'll be setting the agenda for the July 25th meeting earlier than I usually do. So if there are particular things you want to talk about, please let me know. I have tentatively scheduled Wright Pierce for that meeting to come in and talk about their proposal for redirecting flow. And Dave, you had requested that they come in. And I've also Brett had asked for an update on Pondview, and so I have put that on for the next agenda. So.
okay. Okay, great. You know, while we're still under business manager report, and I think this would fall under update on system maintenance. I don't know if everyone read I think it was an email Paula sent out that one of the reasons we had to repair the manholes that we had to repair on Mass Ave was because of the type. Bill, you can chime, or Paula, chime in here anytime, because I know there's a difference between cement and concrete. But the cement / concrete potentially was the wrong kind, and it degraded. It was powder when they started digging up the manholes. So that's why we had so many manholes that looked like they were sinking into the pavement. But, you know, Bill, Paul, you would please elaborate on that.
I'm gonna have Bill talk about the concrete, but if you look at the ARPA request, I did note this in the modified ARPA request.
Right.
When they did the repairs, the concrete had essentially turned to dust. And this was work done by Mass DOT when they repaved 2A. So it's possible and probably likely that any manholes that were done by Mass DOT were going to have that same issue. So Bill, if you want to talk about exactly what you saw.
Yeah, so given the time frame of when that happened, they could have potentially used a type of fast setting concrete that it works great on bridge decks, but it does have a tendency to either turn to mush and then turn to dust when it's wet, if it's below grade, which you know, using it to hold the castings and the manhole castings in place, that's below grade. Once it gets wet, it'll first turn mushy, and then it'll turn to powder. They could have used that type of concrete. I haven't seen that happen in other types, so I'm just guessing that's what they use. So it's a fast setting, sets in hours, so they could have done that to you know, so they wouldn't have traffic tied up for days. That's my guess of what happened there.
Well, Mr. Chair, if I could, I mean, there's no way to go back to Mass DOT now and, but I don't understand. We can't go back. That is definitely out. We can't go back to Mass and see how they did it. And is there a regulation on how those should be, what kind of concrete should be done on those things? I mean, we're not concrete guys.
Yeah, MassDOT does have standard specifications, and it does specify the mixed design for the concrete.
And we just don't know if that was followed here when they did the whole Mass Ave. And again, I know there was a rush job because not only did they repave it, but they also striped it all in like a day and a half. It seemed like they're very fast. But that's just awful that that happened.
Right. So at the time, they didn't know about this concrete, what it does. They learned, and you know, MassDOT has changed. They don't use that type of concrete anymore.
I'm happy that Lunenburg was able to educate them.
I think we weren't the only ones. I think they learned it on their own, and now and it actually says on this type of concrete above grade. So if that is what occurred, that would be why we're having problems with I&I, because the concrete has basically disappeared.
Right, and
So-
if that was the case, there probably is still a few manholes on Mass Ave that this could still be a problem with. But I mean, think about it, this is these were done 5 or 6 years ago. We wouldn't expect to have to redo these manholes this quickly. You know, several 2 years ago, and again this year, a very unexpected expense. So
Exactly. This is nothing that we could have anticipated.
So if I may say, I say we go back to them with the repair bills and the increased I bills and run it down that avenue if it's possible. That end, I have no clue how to go about it, but it seems like it would be if there should be, if they've got standards and the standards weren't kept and it's costing the town money instead of the state money. It just seems logical to me that we could revenue that we could get.
Yeah, I agree with Mike, if we can ask Adam to check it out.
but I think, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, the standard now is fairly new, right? Was it a standard at the time when this was done? I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah. The standard was probably there when they did it. That doesn't mean they followed it. We'd have to prove that that's what happened. I don't know how we could prove that other than doing some kind of chemical analysis on the concrete, which has all been disposed of now. So we'd have to find another manhole, jackhammer that out, do a chemical analysis on it.
I'm sure they did all of Mass Ave from the line to line, from Fitchburg to,
There were some that they were not in need of repair, and I have all that information. It's actually in the database that I created, so we can, we can certainly look at that and maybe even compare one that wasn't repaired by Mass DOT versus one that was, and see what we find.
I guess the other question would be is when the state resurfaces a road, are they responsible for redoing the manholes, or did they do it just because they were asked to do it? I have no clue. If you,
I thought our DPW director asked them if they could do it while they're doing the roads. But I don't know if there's any paperwork on that. I remember that year we bought extra manhole
right.
units for that.
That's my understanding from talking to people that worked at the DPW in that time frame. But I can't say for sure, and I haven't found any kind of paperwork on that. And Bill, I don't know if you have.
I haven't seen any. Just another comment. MassDOT gives every city in town a lot of money, and I don't know, going after them, this doesn't sound like the right thing to me. Chasing them on a job that maybe they didn't quite follow the rules. We don't know. Why stir up the hornet's nest? I don't know.
Just looking for avenues, that's all.
I get it.
But yeah, and if it's gonna create that much of a problem, then unfortunately we take it on the chin.
Yeah,
And
but
then next time the new pavement stops at the border of Shirley and starts to get.
Right, yeah.
I agree with what you said, Bill, but I don't agree. I mean, we give Mass a lot of money in taxes as well. And when they do a job, they have to stand behind it, no matter what. And if Mass accepted the terms from what Jack or whoever the DPW director was at the time, they should have done it right. If they didn't do it right, then they should be held liable for it, in my opinion. And I would go after them. And I would go and test one of those manholes with a concrete to see what they use. And it costs a lot. Mike's right. It costs a lot of money to us. And I don't care what I'm worried about Mass. I'm worried about our customers. And the other thing is, I noticed that there's some circles around some of these manholes with liquid asphalt. What's up with that? Has that been done recently on Mass Ave?
I think that was the crack fill. I think I've seen it too. I think that's what they did.
They did put asphalt, they did pour, and Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but we did pay for asphalt for around the new manholes.
Right, he's talking about crack sealing.
Oh, crack sealing.
That's pretty standard. I don't know when MassDOT crack sealed the road, but yeah, it's pretty common to have cracking around structures like that. So
I don't know, it looks like it was done recently. If you go down Mass Ave from the lights heading towards Townsend Harbor, there's you see nothing but little, look like crop circles now.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are they sealing? It looks like the whole dimension, everyone's the same. They're like a round circle around the manholes with crack seal,
Yeah, so there must have been cracks there.
perfectly round every manhole. Is that the cover? Is that where? I don't understand, is that it just seems weird that they're all the exact same size.
Yeah, it's probably where they jackhammered out around the casting so they could raise it up.
Did they do that on existing past the center of town towards Townsend Harbor?
No, the work that was done recently by us was from the Fitchburg line, and I don't believe they got that far, Bill, correct? They didn't get all the way to Townsend Harbor.
Somewhere in that vicinity. But we're talking about the crack sealing, right? It's not our work. I don't know. We'd have to look on Google Maps, you know.
Or
see
just take a
what year
ride.
It was done.
See what you think. I mean, I thought it was like a marking or something because you'll see it all the way down Mass Ave. So
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, we could talk about this until it's past my bedtime, which is pretty soon, but do we want to go anywhere with this?
I would ask, at least ask Adam, what can we do? I mean, if it takes a matter of checking one of the manholes with this concrete turned to dust. Yeah, I mean, if Paula has records of all the ones that Mass Ave did, I would look at another one.
Okay, so let's leave it at Paula, you know, next time you talk to Adam, you know, talk to him about this specific issue and see what his opinion is.
Yeah, I can look for, I can put myself in for the next town council hours so that we don't incur any costs. If we start talking town council
Right.
in July, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, we're getting to that point where
Yeah.
it costs more.
Right, so
Yeah.
I can certainly do that in town council hours, and I would also recommend that, you know, we allow Bill to talk to Joe Progen and maybe do some more investigating into some of the other holes. You know, that would manholes and, you know, take a look at those before we.
Sure.
So this is just.
Okay. Okay, I mean, that sounds like a plan that I don't think we need to vote on, so. Okay,
Mr. Chair, if I could add one more thing.
no,
I talked to Paula about this. I know we're kind of big into social media and everything that we do. And I know DPW, you guys have a Facebook page, right?
We do.
You know, and I asked Paula if he can start taking some pictures of these new sewer covers that are being installed, let the public know that we're out there servicing them. And also let them know about traffic delays because the traffic was really backed up. But I'm glad we're doing it. But I think the more the public knows about us as a sewer, I think the better it would be for everybody. My opinion.
okay. I guess that brings us to public comment. Let's see, we have no one else has joined, right? No, okay. So any public comment from the commissioners and staff?
Mr. Chair, just want to wish everybody a safe and happy holiday coming up 4th of July. Hope everyone has a safe and happy one.
Okay. And Mike Macomb, thank you for joining us tonight and look forward to you becoming an official member.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
Good.
Thank you, Mike.
No other comment?
Well, actually, I guess I just want to throw something out.
Oh, too late, Pollock. Go ahead.
And this is really a question for Mike. We may be able to do it at the July 11th meeting, but I didn't know if you would prefer to be there. I know you're going to be out of town on the July 11th meeting, so I wanted to check with you and see if you prefer to wait or.
If it's possible to do it without my presence, that's fine with me.
Okay.
I think you guys know me, the selectmen know me.
Okay.
You could zoom in too, you know,
You know, something I probably could.
for 5 minutes. I mean,
Yeah. Let's we'll do it offline, Paul,
Okay, okay. So for the sewer commission, if we meet on July 11th, so if we meet at 6, we would then have to adjourn before 7, so we could join the selectmen's meeting, and I will make sure to post that. Does that work for everyone? Mike
Okay.
won't be there, but Brett and Dave and John, you're all planning to attend? You're all planning to attend?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. All right, so if that's okay with all of you, I will post a second meeting for July 11th.
okay.
Great.
Mike, no, you won't join us for that?
Sorry. Already booked that evening.
Okay. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing none. We've already talked about the upcoming meetings, so sounds like Mike Knoll, you want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Sure, I will make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 7:19.
Okay, anyone want to second that?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. Mike Nault,
Aye.
Dave McDonald,
Aye.
Brett Ramsden,
Aye.
I for myself. The meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
night.
everyone.
Night
Thank
all.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Night, Lunenburg.
Okay.
Good night.